Okay, so officially, hi everyone, and thank you for agreeing to be part of this Q&A. I always think it's helpful for students to hear other students' perspective rather than just me talking about, study abroad. I think it's nice for them to see or hear from their peers, the value that they got out of it and what their struggles and triumphs were. So let's just start by you guys, the panel can introduce themselves and then we will start with questions. So Athena, why don't you start? And just your name, where you went, what you studied is fine.
Sure. Hi, I'm Athena Pager. I am a senior at Millikan and I study English literature and communication. And I went to the United Kingdom as part of is a program that took me to London. And that program studied a lot of theater history, communication, regular history, and theater and English.
Awesome. Alex.
My name is Alex Berglund. I'm also a senior. Here I study creative market applications, which is philosophy, entrepreneurship, international business, photography, and ceramics. And I studied in Haarlem in the Netherlands, and I studied tourism management there.
Thank you. And Jesse.
Hi, everyone. I am Jesse Embry. I'm an international business major and also the CIE's current intern, which seems pretty cool. I went to Paris, France, and then I also took small trips to Germany and Scotland while I was there.
Awesome. So my first question for you all is, what kind of student do you think should study abroad?
Student from the US.
From anywhere, just.
Yeah, from anywhere.
Yeah. What do you think, Athena? What were you gonna say?
I think anybody who likes adventure, and kind of, I feel like that adventure can apply to anything, So if you've ever had a question about like, what is this like? Or what is another country like? That's adventure right there. So if you've ever thought that, you should study abroad.
What do you think, Alex and Jesse?
I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's really beneficial to just about anyone who has any sort of curiosity about what another country is like. Even if you're not necessarily really open to new ideas and new cultures, it's going to challenge you in a way that forces you to open your mind a little bit and look at scenarios with different perspectives.
Do you have anything you want to add, Jesse?
Yeah, so they brought up pretty solid points. The only thing that I would really add to it is that for a long time, I thought the best people to do like study abroads and immersions would be people that are naturally independent. Because, you need a certain level of self-efficiency to be able to make it work easily. But the more I think about it, I think it's the opposite. I think if you're trying to grow independently, if you're trying to be more self-sufficient, if you're trying to keep your horizons open but be able to make decisions on your own, this is probably the best way to learn how to do it. Like you're thrown into a world where nothing is exactly how you expect it to be. Now that's not to say you're, by yourself alone against, the sharks or whatever. There is support. There's always support. But it gives you the freedom to be able to have that independence. And I think that's really important for people to grow and learn.
I really love that. I think that is such a good point, and it leads me into the next question, which is, what do you think was the most beneficial part now that you've been back, and maybe you've had a chance to reflect a bit? where do you think that you benefited the most or grew the most, whether it be independence or, whatever that directly relates to your experience studying abroad? Is that a hard one?
Oh yeah, it's a hard one because like it kind of affected everything. I think if I were to bubble it down, like condense it down, at least one clear thing was my ability to look into the world and into my experience and be independent, go on my adventures and stuff, and figure out how I want to bring those life lessons into what I study and what I want to do in the future. So I don't know if I phrased that right to answer the question.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely. No, absolutely. I think that, yeah, that's perfect.
I can kind of give an example to clear that up. So I love English literature and journalism, but I kind of found myself around a lot of theater and a lot of theater people. But I found out that I actually really love theater and talking about it and writing about it. And so that's something I guess I didn't, also in London, wonderful theater, like one of the best theater places in the world, in my opinion, I guess. But so much of that added and made me like a super unique English major, I think. So,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex?
I think the benefits are definitely twofold. One, all the relationships that I've made. I mean, my living space consisted of me from America, a girl from Slovakia, two English women, a girl from Lithuania, a French girl, a Swedish girl, a Swedish dude. So, I mean, you're living with people from all over the world, and you have a lot of time just to talk and get to know people. So being really intimate with so many different people from all around the world really broadens your worldview and gets you out of the stereotypical America first. You only care about what you know, but it forces you to see the bigger picture. And then also, if you're thousands of miles from the closest person you know, and you're spending 6 months there, if you can do that and get used to that, you can do just about anything. You can go anywhere in the world and be fine.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Jesse?
So I agree wholeheartedly with Alex on that. The greatest gift that I had, the greatest experience that I had was the people. I was the only American in my classes, so even the most random, minute question or statement gave 15 different unique responses that came with a learning experience of perspectives and different knowledge and different points of view and positions. And I thought that was honestly the second most valuable thing I could have gained from it. The first most valuable is still the people, but it was the relationships that I gained from being around them. Out of my class of like 20 people that I was with almost all day, I still talk to 6 or 7 of them bi-weekly, easily once or twice a month with no issues, and it provides opportunities for people because like I've got tentative plans right now to go to Australia to visit 3 of them the moment COVID is over and done with. And I know that seems like it could be a long stretch, but it also, it's something that gives me hope too,
Absolutely. Yeah. So what about navigating and Athena, your experience is a little different, but still kind of the same because you talked about having to do so much theater heavy things, and you did classes with the Globe, and it was a lot different than being on campus. So talk about the differences that you guys experienced as far as the way that the education system was structured there. Was that something that you were anticipating? Is it something that you struggled with? Did you love it? I know that some of you have better experiences than others in that area. So yeah, tell me about how the education system was structured where you visited and how it differed from being at Millikan.
I can explain the London program really quick because it's also, I'll add the disclaimer that it's like a Millikan program, kind of. It's very interesting, where we went and we took classes with a Millikan professor who was teaching all of us a couple classes in a classroom that was
It's a shed. It's definitely a garden shed.
yeah, it's definitely a garden shed, but like, you know, a schoolhouse size, you know,
It's so
thing that was just like in the middle of the city. Oh my gosh, I wish I could share a picture because it's kind of like awesome and hilarious. And then
it's definitely an "oh, there you are, Millikan" moment.
yeah. And then like 2 days a week we actually studied at the Globe Theater with like with Shakespearean actors, and like both very interesting experiences. And I guess I never, of course, took a theater class before, and so that is not what I was expecting. And just, I think that the London program, that was also, there were classes that we took, but we actually didn't have a very heavy course load because most of the idea of the London program is so that you actually get out in London in, you know, experience and kind of forge your own way.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I did, like, because I met a lot of people involved with, you know, poetry and the London Literary Festival. I can go into all that, but that's how the education system was kind of set up. So it's very, very different from like going to a university.
Yeah, so it's kind of a nice hybrid, I think the London program is, between completely studying abroad, kind of like what Jesse and Alex did, or taking classes at Millikan, because you still have that strong support system and you're taking classes in a similar type of way that you would here on campus with the same type of professors, but you're in the middle of London, so you're doing a lot of cultural immersion and exploration. What about you, Alex? How did your program, how was that set up and different from here?
So one, I mean, the course of itself is very different because it's tourism management, which isn't even offered at Millikan. So that was just a very different world to dive into. It was broken up into 2 terms. The first term was adventure tourism. And in that section, and the Dutch school system is very project oriented and group work oriented. So from day one, we split up into groups and we were told, hey, this is, you know, in a month and a half, this is what you need to turn in, or this is what we need to do. And the project for the first term was a ton of fun. It was planning an adventure excursion to the Ardennes and Brussels, or in Belgium. So for a month and a half, we worked as different groups to plan days doing adventurous activities. So when we got down there, we stayed in cabins, we went whitewater rafting, we went caving, we went zip lining, we did obstacle courses. It was a ton of fun. We had some cookouts, and the entire first term was just doing that. The second term was sustainable tourism, and I was really disappointed by that term. A lot of it was because of the teacher. Every couple hours, she changed her expectations to the point where I just stopped going. I didn't show up to class for a month and a half. It was just god awful. But I mean, I didn't miss a whole lot. Classes were only 2 to 3 times a week, and you know, everything was changing anyway. So
The expectation is a little bit different, right? In Europe,
man, it's so much lower, I think.
as far as participation in class, it is a lot lower, I think.
Oh yeah, And I heard that from a lot of people too, that America is kind of still like the gold standard for education because one, the universities have so much more money, so they can do so much more and provide so much more. But also in American universities, you're expected to participate a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the Netherlands, for example, you're much more of just like a student.
Right.
But the second term was still really cool because the trip for that term was to go to Iceland. And so for that, we went to Mývatn, we interviewed like regional directors of conservation in different areas. We were able to talk with a lot of like Forest Service people and outdoor experts, which is really cool.
Yeah. What about you, Jesse? What was PSB like?
Yeah, so the experience definitely took some getting used to. It's pretty drastically different than what we have here, but definitely I didn't think it was in any way worse. It was just unique. All classes are in 3-hour increments. And there's like an hour and a half to 2 hours at lunchtime where no one goes to class. And it originally it felt like a lot, but there's also no homework after class. Like everything was done like in between the 3 hours, there's a 15-minute break right in the middle. In the first half, it was all lecture and stuff like that. In the second half, if you had quizzes and tests, you did them then. If not, that's when you did the projects. That's when you did the group discussion stuff. And it was really engaging. It was like I enjoyed going to class. I enjoyed seeing how everyone, worked on different things in different ways. And because there was no homework, it felt like I had a lot more time to myself. And I honestly, I had a large course load. I had 5 bachelor's level classes and 1 master's level class, and I still didn't feel like I was overwhelmed.
Wow.
Yeah. It was just one of those things. It was like when you're done with the day, you feel this level of freedom, like I can do whatever I want. And because of the transit system, you can kind of go wherever you want once you learn it. You could be in Germany in a couple hours even. So it's one of those, like, if you didn't have classes all day on Friday, you had a long weekend, and there were always people that wanted to go to dinner. There was a huge reception when the weather was warm out. Like as soon as you were done with class, you could hear music playing down the rivers, and it was very unique. And it took time for me to dial myself in to paying attention for 3 straight hours to a specific subject. Because my attention span is not that long. But once I got used to it, it was really nice because you kind of got in that productive mode for the time you needed to, and then once it was done, you were just free,
Right. So I'll leave. I'm gonna ask one more question, and then I'll let you guys say whatever you feel like I should have asked that I didn't, but we're running out of time. And that is, if you were going to give one piece of solid piece of advice to students that are thinking about or starting their planning for studying abroad, what would that piece of advice be?
One piece of advice. I'd say, hold on.
You take your time.
I'd say that that it will be really hard. If you leave your comfort zone, it will be so hard, and it will test your mind, like your mental health. It will definitely test it. So you need to make sure that you want to have a good enough experience and take those actions, even like really difficult actions, in order to obtain your goal. Like when you get there, you need to be all invested in having a good time. You can't leave any piece of yourself out of having a good out of learning. Like when you're there, you need to be present. Like you need just, and it won't be hard, you know, you'll want to invest all of your time and energy into just learning and expanding and having those adventures. But definitely my advice is don't hold back.
Love it.
I'd say where you go is much more important than the school you go to. Your host country really makes all the difference in the world. And to me, especially, what made the Netherlands so much of a valuable experience was because it was really easy to travel everywhere.
Oh, the
you're-
Netherlands has such a place in my heart because of that.
Like, you can get on a Flixbus at Sloterdijk and be in Brussels in less than 2 hours, having paid $1.50 for the bus fare.
Right.
It's amazing.
So good.
So, and yeah, and traveling is so much more important than going to school. The experiences that you'll have, the memories that you'll make won't be from sitting in the classroom, and it's pass fail anyway, so you don't have to try that hard. But definitely take advantage of travel opportunities. So look for somewhere that's going to be conducive to you exploring not only that country, but a bigger section of the world.
What about you, Jesse? What's your piece of advice?
Start the process early. Not everyone works on weekends. Their timetables aren't the same as ours. The sooner you start the process, the easier life will be. It's a lot better to have extra time with everything done before you leave than to be running on last second. Learn the language of where you're going. Even if it's not mandatory, do it. People appreciate it. People love it. You don't have to be fluent.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. You don't have to be fluent, but try. You know what I mean? Like give it a shot, even if it's just a few words or a few phrases. You'll see people's, their eyes light up, even like because they know you're a tourist. They know that you're an exchange student, but the fact that you're trying, I mean, just like here, the fact that you're trying makes people ecstatic, and that sometimes that'll be the best parts of your day, is just seeing how happy you can make somebody else. Like, take the time to do it.
Right. I totally agree. Okay, so thank you guys again for agreeing to talk with us this afternoon. I'll upload it so that people can, watch it, and then maybe if, people have questions or anything, and we can connect them with you guys to kind of talk them through whatever their experience is. So in 5 minutes, we're going to, I don't know, should we clap? Yay, thanks, yay. Online fairs are weird, honestly. I don't know.